everyone, it's me, Nikki. Welcome back to my channel. Let's check out my new earrings. I got a bunch of like little hoopy dangly things to try out, so yeah, I'm excited. This one doesn't quite fit on my head for some reason, so I'll have to figure that out, see how it sticks out. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to try to... Oh, there, that's better. I've never had dangly earrings before, so I don't know how they work. But yeah, this one's a little planet with a star, and we got a moon. And then I put in these studs because they match the ensemble. And I've got a couple others you'll probably see. Anyway, I am here for my July wrap-up? Yeah, it's August. Wow. I read 3 books. I'm not going to say only because it is good to read. I have to bring up my caw pile. I've got a bunch of tags open, and of course, none of them are caw pile. Oh, that's not how you spell it. 2023. Okie dokie. Where is it? I've got, we'll start what I've got. I read Trader's Moon by Lynn Flewelling. This is the 3rd in the Night Runners series, as it says. And it takes place 2 years after the last book. And Sir Gil, I can't remember how to say it, and Alec are just living their best lives, being husbands, all that stuff. And then Sir Gil is an elf. And he is asked to aid the Queen's daughter to go to the Elven lands because there's a big war going on, and they need the elves to help. And see, I can multitask. And he's like, oh, but I've been like exiled because he did a thing, which he explained. I think he talked about it in one of the books, but I think they go into more detail in what he did. And they're like, yeah, they know that, but you're going to like the sacred elven city, and as long as you don't leave or fuck around, you'll be fine. I thought there was more in there. And Alec, who is part elf, somehow. I don't remember if he's half or a quarter, maybe. But he wants to go and learn more about his heritage. So, yeah. And, of course, there's intrigue because there's a war going on. Not all of the elves are happy to see them, particularly the ones that Sir Gil wronged, but his family's happy to see him. And, what else? Yeah. And there's like this mysterious elven magic. Is it magic? They use magic differently than how the humans use magic. Excuse me. And they're almost like, in the sacred city, they're like prophets, kind of, and they're weird, so that's cool. Another point of going is, and it's mentioned pretty early on, is that humans are losing their ability to do magic, or like not as many kids can do magic. So they're like, because women are in the army, and so they're sending them, and they're like, hey, go fuck some fae and get us some magic. So that's fun. But it's also another way to bind them. You know, they do marriages and stuff in real life. Yeah, let's see. Sergil and Alec both get injured. Did they get tortured? I don't think they get tortured, but there is lots of blood and death and gore. There's poisoning. There's like one of the characters is getting kind of choked by another person. So there's like assault, that kind of stuff, but there's no sexual assault. But yeah, it's a pretty adult book. I'm trying to think what else. Lots of intrigue, lots of like backstabbing and just that kind of stuff you would expect in politics. And I would say because Sergil and Alec are like spy type things, and that's what they did in the first two books. They went and spied on people. They aren't allowed to do that for most of the book because the Queen's daughter is trying to do this as politically, not correctly, but like easily as possible, but at some point it's just too much and they have to go and do their spy thing. So characters do die, but none of the big ones, none of the ones that have been in the other books. Let's see. And yeah, and when Sergil, Alec, and another character, Thero, go to see the prophet type elves, and they each have like a sort of weird trippy experience because it's like, I don't want to say it's in a cave, but it's like in an enclosed area and there's lots of smoke and magic whirling around because the sacred city is full of magic. There's lots of ghosts. They talk to people there sometimes, and sometimes it freaks them out. So, yeah. And there's some characters where you want to punch them, but you know they'll get what's coming to them. So, let's see. What did I give it? I think I gave it, it's 540 pages, so pretty long. I gave it 5 stars. Sometimes the plot and intrigue and logic, they weren't as high as everything else. My enjoyment, the characters, atmosphere, and writing were great. Next we have Wish Song of Shannara. This is the third in the original Sword of Shannara trilogy, and it is about Bryn and Ger Olmsford, the children of Will from the second book, and the great-grandchildren of Shay from the first book. Alanon comes back, and he's like, I need your help. So, let's explain this. Whatever Shay could do with the sword and the elf stones, he could do because he was, I think it's specifically the elf stones. Forget the sword. The sword doesn't matter. Not in this book. But whatever power he used for the elf stones, he could do better than Will because Shay was half. Now in the second book, Will had a lot of trouble using the elf stones because he was a quarter elf. Half elf, quarter elf. So, and then whatever he did to like be able to use it, it created the Wish Song, which Bryn and Ger, who are 8th elf at this point. There is a Wikipedia and it does break down how much each of the main characters is elf or human. And what the wish, they each have it, they do it differently. Bryn's Wish Song, she doesn't use it much. She's elder. And the only thing that she talks about in the beginning is there was a tree and she turned it from green to red because it was springtime and she wanted like autumn colors. And then she never really used it after that. Because she thought it was just a toy or whatever. It was just like, ooh, I can make the leaves turn red or back to green or whatever. Ger, who is obviously the younger brother, he uses it way more, and his Wish Song is more illusion-based. So there's a point where he's going to get attacked, and he like makes his attacker think spiders are all over him. So that kind of stuff, he can sort of, and he's a little better at it than Bryn. He still takes a lot of concentration, but because he used it more often when his part of the story is going, he seems to be better able to use it than Bryn, because she was resistant for a long time to use it. And then there's also, I forgot his name. Roan Lee is descended from Lee in the first book. And he goes off with Bryn and the Sword of Lee to protect her because he loves her. That's made very clear. So Al-Anon shows up and is like, hey, Bryn, I need you because there's an evil book that's basically caused the whole thing, and we have to destroy it. And Bryn is like, okay. And Jared's like, I want to come. And she's like, no. So her and Roan set off, and then Trumbull shows up, and Jared's like, oh, fuck, I gotta go. So he goes. And at some point, he meets the King of the Silver River, who we've met in previous books, who has helped our characters. And the book, let me find the map. They're basically going to the same place. This place. Is that going to focus? It's right up here. And I think Bryn is going up here. So that is the Heaven's Well. And as you can see, it goes down until the Silver River, which is being poisoned because of the bad stuff happening up there. And Bryn wants to go, I think she wants to go right there, Olden Moor. So they're nearish each other to defeat the book. So they have to go off on their separate ways and, you know, do their thing before they can meet up. Because the King of the Silver River says that Bryn is doomed unless Jared can reach her. So he has to do his thing and then go help his sister. He's like, fuck. And he gets a lovely group of people. You have Gareth Jax. Perfection. Love him. He is a weapons master, essentially. He's a badass fighter. There's nothing that can beat him. You get an elf that's related to the elves from the other two books. And then there is, what is his name? I've read it and I've forgotten. He's a gnome that helps him. Slanter. He helps Jer, and they become like really close friends, and it's a little weird for Slanter, and Jer's like, but you're awesome. So yeah, and then, you know, Bryn and Roan have their own stuff going on. They meet a fantastic old man near the end, not near the ending, like nearish the end, and there's a lovely cat named Whisper. Love it. So yeah, again, great characters, great everything. Let me see. Jer is kidnapped by a lizard. So there's the rock trolls from the first. They were in the second book, I think. Those that came to help. But then we found out there's more types of trolls. And these are like lizardy trolls, I think. And they basically enslaved the gnomes for a really long time, and they're trying to do it again. Or they have something to do with the bad guys up at Nailmord. So yeah, so Jer gets kidnapped by one of them because he wants Jer's power. There's character death. Nothing explicit. I don't, from what I remember. It's sad, obviously. And Bryn loses her and Roan at different points lose their minds. Like, Roan is obsessed with the Sword of Lee because he thinks that's what's giving him his power. And Bryn is, like, at some point I was like, wanting to shake her because she goes, it's just a toy, it's just a toy, the wish song is just a toy, how can I do anything with it? And then she realizes what she can do with it, and you're like, see? So, yeah, and I thought it wrapped up the Umported not line, because there's more books about them. But it wrapped up what started in the sort of genre very well. So I'm excited to read. I think the next one is about their, oh gosh, that's something on my computer. I think the next, it's a quartet. I believe it's about the descendants of Bryn, but I don't think they're called Umported. There might be the Lees. There's a character in here who I think marries into the Umported family, and it's like their descendants. But the Umported do come back. But yeah, I'm excited to start like a new chapter of the Shannara world, and it's great. And I gave it 10 stars. Love the characters, love the atmosphere. Oh god, the atmosphere in all 3 books. Like when it gets heavy, it gets heavy. I put the logic as 10 because at some point, like especially in like a fantasy world like this, you're like, sure, whatever, just go with it, and it makes it a lot better. And next, and finally, I read Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This is the first. I thought it was a duology, but there might be a third one. Let me check. Because I was looking at it and I go, oh, there's a third one. I believe the sequel is called Heart of the Sun Warrior. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Yes, Heart of the Sun Warrior, and yes, there's also a 2.5, which is probably just short stories, and it looks like there will be a third one. So this is about Xingyin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is the daughter of the moon goddess, Chang'an, I believe is how you pronounce it. And in her, Chang'an's myth, she had a husband, and they were the only thing I know this is from Overly Sarcastic Productions, who did a video on it. But I think they were either both immortals and got demoted, or they were both human. And in this story, they're both human. And Chang'an's husband is an amazing archer. So in the myth, for some reason, there were 7 sons. And in this, they're from the Phoenix Kingdom, and they were fucking around, and they found out, and they basically overheated the earth, and everybody was like, what the fuck? So the Jade Emperor, or Celestial Emperor, was like, killed them. So he did. He killed 6 of them, and because of that, and he saved the world, he got a potion, and it was enough for one to turn immortal, or I think if him and Chang'an took half, they could be like half immortal. And I believe in this tale, they're going with that Chang'an was attacked, and she had no option but to drink the potion, and she became immortal and went to the moon. And so her and her husband were separated forever, which is why the moon follows the earth. But in this, she's pregnant, and she didn't tell anybody, so Xingyan is unknown by the whole court. But then one day her magic flares and she's fucked. So she has to bail out of the moon. There's a lovely map. Right there. So she was up here and she goes here and the phoenix is over here and here's the demon. Oh, here's the demons and there's a desert. And they go to a sea at some point. So yeah. And she basically has to claw her way up to get a medal or a title. Supreme Lion, Golden Lion, I think, which basically means the Emperor can give her a favor, and her favor is to free her mother, obviously. But before that can happen, she starts off in the Celestial Kingdom as nobody, and then she becomes like there's a contest to become the prince's study partner, basically, and also maybe his future wife. That's kind of implied. And she wins, and so they become like best friends, and they study together music, literature, history, philosophy, magic, fighting. She's really good at archery, surprising. And of course they fall in love, but he's a prince and she's a nobody. And then she meets a general when she's serving in the army, and there's some affection between them, and I can't remember the prince, is Li Wei, and it's Captain Wenzi. So she has like two suitors, and one is a good boy and one is a bad boy. And how can she ever pick between the two of them? That plot, that romance part, I thought really dragged the story down. Otherwise, I think it's a really great story of a girl trying to save her mom. And she gets to talk to friggin' dragons. She meets the 4 dragons of the north, south, east, and west that have been imprisoned for defying the Celestial Emperor. Like, dude, they're fucking dragons. Who the fuck are you? Fucking nobody. And his wife, the Celestial Emperor, awful. His wife, awful. Li Wei is not as awful. And then, of course, there's probably not. It's something happens that I wasn't expecting. Maybe people who have read, who read better critically could have found that out. I don't know, whatever. But sometimes I don't see things coming, and other people are like, oh yeah, we saw that coming from a mile away. And she has like a best friend in the army who's also a woman who she doesn't spend enough time with. And when they do, they're not really talking about anything but romance. So I thought the romance really dragged the story down. I did like the ending. But other than, there's a whole section like nearish the end, which sort of tanks, in my opinion. And of course the stuff where she falls in love with the prince, that sort of tanks it as well. I would have preferred her not to, and just be focused on getting that medal she needs. So yeah, I gave that a 3.5. I don't know, but she's just, I don't know. Some of the characters were okay. The logic wasn't always there. But, I might pick up the second one to see where it goes. Maybe I can get it from the library or on audiobook or something. But, yeah. And I don't know, there's a third one. Because it says in the second one she's forced to flee her home once more. Like, oh, wow. There's probably going to be another love triangle. And she has to, rise up against evil. I'm like, the Emperor's evil, obviously. Anyway, yeah, so, it was an okay book. I think if the romance wasn't maybe as heavy-handed or even taken out completely, and it was just about her, making herself the prince's, maybe even just his friend, and being like, I'm getting this education to make myself better so I can join something, probably the army. I don't know if you could it doesn't say if you can get it any other way. You have to do something really extraordinary. So yeah, I think I would have liked it better, but it is what it is. And those are the books that I read. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.